shopping in Sloan Square, Bond Street.
Harrods.
Absolutely. I'm not doing an assessment. I'm just collecting the funding. Now, know that if she's going to Gucci flagship store on Bond Street and going to Sloan Square,
I agree.
Then she'll be okay.
Look at how much was used to renovate
Now. When?
Sorry.
Okay.
One last statement. I don't think he has anything to do with assessment of Nigeria. I think it's just America first.
Yeah, America first. Yeah.
Donald Trump doesn't care whether they did or they don't. He just wants to take care of America. Cut this, cut that.
It makes sense because you have to look after you first.
That is his place of primary assignment.
You have to look after yourself first before someone else. Because if you have 10
Yoruba people say about Johnny to Jomeni, Tareni Lankokogmo.
You come first. So, like I said at the beginning, it's time for the Nigerian government to look inwards.
Mama,
what do we have as resources that we can use to care for our people? There is Nollywood, there is tech, there is music, there is Afrobeat. All of these things are going global.
Now, I think we in the house here all agree that it is okay to cut the funds. But when President Tinubu came into power, one of the things that he was blamed for was the abrupt way in which he withdrew the fuel subsidy and he floated the dollar. Yes, there are great things to do, but should Trump have, only Trump wake up one day and say, I'm not doing it again like a little baby. Shouldn't there have been okay, over the next 1 year, we're going to reduce from $10 million, for instance, to $7 million. Our target to cut down to $7 million this year. And next year, our target will be to cut down to $4 million. And hopefully within the next 4 years, we'll cut down to zero. Don't you think the fact that it was done so abruptly and the way the whole world followed suit, don't you think, especially in a world that has benefited from Africa and Nigeria in particular, don't you think the abruptness, the harshness of the way it was withdrawn poses some challenges that could have been avoided if this were done more subtly?
Posing challenges to who?
To us.
To Africa.
Right.
Okay.
See, a lot of NGOs are giving free education. A lot of NGOs are giving free education to rural communities. Boreholes. I'll give you an example. I was part of a conversation with the United Nations where they wanted to bring drinking water. In Nigeria, it's not everybody that has drinking water. Drinking water. As in water that is good enough to be consumed as table water. And when this Trump thing happened, it kind of slowed down that conversation. So it's not just HIV medications. It's not just vaccines. It's also education. Yes, I know you say by now we should be able to educate ourselves and all that. But if we've not done it in 70 years, we're not going to do it in 6 months.
Daddy Free, sir.
Yes.
Okay, doctor. Okay, there was a time a Nigerian president, I think it was President Goodluck Jonathan, sent money to a particular African country. And all of us, we were shouting, we never have belly food for Africa, for Nigeria, you gift money, this particular amount of millions of dollars to another African country. So we were saying it that time that we as Nigerians, we are not satisfied already as sending our money out. Just like Dr. John J wanted to say quite long, he wanted to say that the mandate of the American president is for the American people, not for countries. I think we should, the way they stop it, the way I choose to stop my money to somebody I'm gifting it for is at my discretion. And it's not as if that person is as poor as is being exaggerated anyways. Dr. John J.
So, yeah, what I wanted to say is that to your point about Trump wakes up and just does things, his focus is not that he wakes up and does things. I don't think. I think it's irrational a lot of times, but I don't think it's that. He's just an American first guy. So anything that is taking money away from America, he doesn't want to know his cousin. But I'm sure they also do an assessment. Like, even though there's a lot of brashness and stuff, but I'm sure they know that this country can afford all these things, right? So I need you to leave Trump alone in saying, let's take away blame from Trump and take care of this country, because if your house is not in order, America Street, there are people here that are on the streets homeless. In fact, there's one place I go I just stay there to shit. There's a few guys that they have a whole thing. I'm a veteran, I need this. By 2 p.m., another person does stand there. They do shift of begging. But anyway, so in your own country where you are the president, things are not fully pure. It's only right for you to take care of your country first and leave the others out. And I think that's what he's doing. But one thing is, I'm not sure if Nigeria is actually wealthy as we think this, but I know that there's a lot of wasting of funds. And I think that in the hands of responsible governance, these cut funds may lead to proper organization. Because I was looking at the summary of sector ranking by value. That if you need a drink, you don't clear that.
Yeah. Sorry, my throat.
Healthcare sector 2.1 trillion, 5% is the lowest. Everything else, debt servicing 32.8, capital projects 28. Health is 2.4 trillion. Like, I think it's just they're going to squeeze the neck on a lot of HSCs, and it will become obvious whether government is actually responsible, or I don't think anybody thinks that responsible of that. With less funding now. So now things will now become so clear. And maybe that's when the people of the nation will now wake up and say, oh boy, this thing is crazy.
Look at how much is going to constituency projects now. Because oil subsidy has been stopped, more senators are getting more funds, and these are things they can do aside from doing the regular boreholes. They can get medications, for instance, the one we've been talking about, HIV, try and subsidize for people rather than but some of them won't do anything and they will still spend this money.
You think HIV medication for anything is better than potable water?
That's another thing anyways. But what is the sustainability of those boreholes? We have several, even at Oluwon Labasho or Ibadan. They are just there, no water is coming out there again. Most times they usually do this solar panel on them. Once the solar panel got spoiled, they are not coming back to repair it. It's just there as a monument. It's just there as useless as any other thing. Anyways.
No. Let's say this, yeah. Let's have this conversation. Is it because we are viewing this from an elitist point of view? I'm not sure anybody here, if you ever stayed in Nigeria, you were so poor to the point where you could not afford potable water. Victor Osimhen was with me at home yesterday, and we had a conversation, and he said that there were basic things that he couldn't afford, that they were eating. Sorry, Victor Osimhen was saying yesterday that they were eating expired products.
People that don't have water. You cannot prioritize.
Doctor, I don't want you to. I get you quite well, doctor. I don't want you to dwell on that. I just made that as an example. I just made it as an example. You know, the regular thing all of them do is bow.
But all right, welcome back. Instagram has been acting up. So please, if you're with me on the call, please send your requests so the conversation can continue. Good evening.
Hello, dear.
Hi, doctor. How are you doing? We have a doctor and a lawyer. Well, a PhD doctor and a lawyer.
Hello, Wale.
How you doing, Doc?
We've got Wale with
Daddy,
us.
please,
Yeah.
if we are gonna be putting in all the certifications and our degrees, of course I do a master's degree in law, and I am a chartered arbitrator for that matter in Bromsley, London.
But you have PhD in law.
No, I don't.
Now PhD will define today, but I know you are qualified anyway.
But my master's degree in law overrides a PhD in any other. It's law and the other.
I think in law, even experience overrides matters as well.
Absolutely. That is shortchanging me because
Wale,
always blowing my trumpets.
no vex. They no born me well, oh.
But that matter, I beg, I did interested. Bongoli, I want to specifically talk to you.
Bongoli, is he on this call?
No, he's in the combo. We've been talking since. A matter of fact, I was typing when you do. Bongoli, I always say that I like the way you master your points. I love the use of your, terms and, lingos. But
Excuse me. Bonwale, please don't come on the foremost Nigerian live show and be telling us that masters in law overrides everything. Please stop that.
Papa, now you go talk now, doctor. Why are you waiting happen? I don't talk.
Stop that.
It does.
I will not take that on behalf of the
I've been chartered arbitrator.
look.
What is the equivalence of that in medicine? Being a chartered arbitrator.
No, leave medicine aside, please.
But why you going to tackle me? Maybe that's my own I talk. Doctor George Apple.
Your masters in law is well revered. We respect you. We appreciate you. We praise you. Always be your name. Don't come and tell us that.
When they introduce somebody will be doctor, and they just introduce we have the lawyer. Shaka. I can't say. Say now LA primary school I go. They don't know what to do.
But I'm no small now.
Baba, he tries more. We dey read now. So I beg, DF, I need to make Bongoli they come to some level of I don't want to use any word
But Bongoli is here. Why are you talking about Bongoli?
I know. I need him to always relate with us when you come up with these
per capita, the population of Nigeria is the reason why Nigeria is poor. No, brother. If that country is really poor, that country has been, milked to buy. Be addressing that our politicians they are weary, they are one jink, or they are thieving. Oh, that's it, bro. How can we look at it? Look, a country that's as small as Malaysia in 79 took palm fruit from Nigeria. If not the largest palm oil producer in the world today, what happens to us that we have it all across Ileoluji? I was looking at Mambala Plateau. I've been there at some point. The tomatoes Mambala Plateau can produce is enough for the whole of West Africa. In Taraba State. So what is stopping us? That's a nation that depends heavily on importation. No single export, no commercial level of exports.
Well, we can't even feed ourselves.
Absolutely.
I don't have a master's in law, but you can't be arguing with somebody in the comment section. When he comes, you can face him.
Still making the point, Baba, I'm still making the point, and I'm still also making him real, because I like, so when he talks, Bongoli will come and say, oh, do you know the index of, he will mention figures. All these things, we are aware of it. But it's like a finesse. People who do not really read, a lot, will say, that man, they talk, they give there. But bro, you are not even talking about, we are talking about like, the grassroots level. What is, okay, on every Nigerian is believed to live below $1 daily. And how do you look at the percentage? Nobody, the people like Daddy Freeze in the talk, no people where they stay, anybody who don't understand anything from South area in Lekki, Lagos, they are not the ones they are referring to. And that's just like what? We have 240 million. The whole of Lagos is 20 million. The people where they live in that within that $1 means are like 95% of the total population. So Baba, now as per the age thing, because we need to look at this. I was talking to somebody the other day. I said, look, we need to stop enabling people in Nigeria. What do I mean by that? Except for the old ones that are weak and are not capable, we need to stop giving them money. Reason being that...
wait. This thing you're about to say, you told me before.
Yes, now make we talk as it be.
No, what I'm saying is, so that we don't get off the conversation.
Yes, sir.
Let us talk about the Trump cuts.
Okay.
In as much as it's tempting to us right now, because our annoyance is plenty with the way the government has, over the years, I'm not going to blame this particular government. As a matter of fact, this particular government seems to be trying their best to rescue us from the quagmire we've been in for eons. But you see, you live in America, and I'm sure you must have watched it on local news for you back then. What is international news for us is local news for you people. When Trump said he's cutting WHO funding, he's cutting this, he's cutting that. On the short term, on the immediate term, in the now, how do you think this affects Nigeria?
I mean, as we know, whatever kind of it is, getting sort of that we cannot replace is gonna affect us directly. Mostly for public hospitals. Which is generally what they do aids on. Now, for the American people, we are not even in good shape right now, sir. The American economy is not doing very well. We need to. They shouldn't talk about AIDS alone. We need to also withdraw support for in terms of armament races that we give to places like Israel, places like Ukraine, because we are not back home here. We are not in that very order.
So lọ́rọ̀ kan ẹ jẹun yó ẹ wá fẹ́ máa fún yàn lóúnjẹ.
Baba, economy America or riba, it's not been this. I mean, I've lived out here for some time now. I know what it is. I never really paid attention to the actual inflation going on, but now today I can confirm to you that there is high inflation in this nation right now. And maybe a little further than this, we'll be probably approaching the Great Depression again. And let me give you an instance. Around 2020, I had a GLA I used to fill with about $72. Sometime in 2023, that car will consume $121. That's about $50 increase. Same price, same fuel grade. Now that's to tell you what happened. The resources, the dollar purchase value is reducing, and you still need the same amount of quantity of fuel. That's to tell you our economy is not doing great. Now look at the cheapest thing on the face of this planet that you find in America is food. The prices are rising by the day. That's to show you the economy is not doing great. Now people, job cuts are there too. People barely can afford their mortgages 3 months out of job. So why are we not doing this for the Christmas world over, providing AC here and there, and whereas the home front is not even doing as great as it should? We need to cut it. We don't have problem of politicians or leaders thieving or misappropriating the national treasury. That's not happening. They do have their own excesses in terms of voting for all this sentimental support for Ukraine, Israel, and all those things, which the people of the country and America is built on with the people. I say no, we don't need none of this. You can subsidize our food. You can ensure that there is more production. As this is a very large country, extremely large. When we talk about GMO and non-GMO, this takes me to that you cannot feed this kind of nation with organic farming, and we need people to have a ton of this activity going in day in, day out. So now it's up to you. If you want to feed on those organic one, really, you can pay a little extra for it. But as a nation right now, we are not doing very well. We must know this. Now, people that have been provided with AIDS, Nigeria, why have we decided to remain as Bambiala or beggars from time immemorial? Why have we not done something to get out of being beneficiaries of AIDS? And why is that happening? It's because our leaders have chosen to loot the national treasury dry. Now they are talking about Nigeria being very poor. Do you see the amount they are voting to renovate a government building? Why do we need a private jet? The new president coming in. Why do we need all those 109 senators getting LX 500 every time? Here, senators do not have official cars. No way. You drive the Senate, the what do you call it? The Congress has their cars, and these cars belong to the Congress. If you are from, let's say, for instance, a senator representing Ohio, if you come to the Capitol, you use that car for official function. Let's say you have to commute to Delaware, then you return it back to the parking lot of the Congress. It doesn't belong to you. You don't have no personal driver. So what kind of democracy and what kind of federal system are we practicing? That every 4 years, let's say a senator is returning from previous 4 years, he has LX 5700. Now they're going to buy him another one. He has it becomes 2. When he's going finally, maybe he's spending the total of 16 years or whatever number of years he's spending, he's going with all these cars. That's wasteful. They found them public offices and do something with the money so we stop being benefactors or beneficiaries of it and depending on it.
The salary for life for these governors as well.
Absolutely. You see that? They have the governors being paid forever. They have police attachment in front of their homes. They are talking about security. All these police you are putting attached or being attached to their homes, they are supposed to be the one defending the citizenry. But the citizenry barely gets nothing. Now, if you have money, you can afford to have 6 mopo following you here and there. And they still get paid by the federal government. It's not like they're making, so you see, until our leaders, and I'm not blaming the leaders, because the last show you had, you were talking about the people and the leaders. Of course, we are a big reflection of our society. The leaders weren't aliens. They weren't, just thrown on planet Earth. They grew up from amongst us because we are used to that oga thingy. And of course, the ones that the elites that have escaped the poverty, they understood that once we keep them beneath us, they will forever need us. Then they will forever be twirling us or be raising their hands whenever we pass by. Then just throw a small crumb into whoever one that has mouth, that wants to be, making mouth or wants to revolt, just throw something little to him. He will keep quiet. Now it's fine.
Okay, let's bring the conversation back home. Like I said, the rural areas, education. Let me ask this question. What do you think the impact of this donor funds withdrawal or reduction would be on education in Nigeria. Dr. Zumorito, over to you.
To be honest, I'm not sure that any of the foreign fund was going into the education in the rural areas anyway. Is what I think. Sorry, apologies. I still think the main suffering will be in terms of healthcare. And once healthcare suffers, every other thing around it suffers. So I guess my answer is I think it will suffer eventually. I don't feel that I'm not sure that any of you think that the foreign funds were going into any rural area to help with education. I don't think so. I stand to be corrected. But that's what I think. Dr. Peter, what do you think? Meanwhile, Bongoli wants to come up and take on Wale. But Wale, one thing though, I don't think cutting funds to Nigeria will help American economy. I'm sure the percentage that goes to funding Nigeria and donation is very minimal. It will help. But,
So I think, like I said initially when I joined, there is
I'll respond to that.
There is a global component when it comes to funding. Now, the first, I want to draw your attention to the last pandemic that just occurred with the United States, US, Canada.
Don't forget the question he asked.
Yeah, I will come to that. Where these countries.
Okay, Dr. Peter, when you are done, please, I would like you to press X so we can bring Bongoli because they are not letting me hear word here.
Okay.
Uncle Wale and Uncle Zumorito, please let them face Bongoli. Go ahead, doctor.
Yeah, so during that particular era, these countries, including India, ensured that their citizens were vaccinated first before those vaccines were then released to developing countries and so-called underdeveloped and all of that. So what drawn from that experience is that there is a high level of nationalization among this country when it comes to looking out for their people first. And that was the time we were making noise in Nigeria, our own vaccines for that particular virus. And that's where after Babala came in through one fast, what was that his name? Fastemiko or something like that, that said he had a syrup for the COVID-19 and all of that. But after further verification, we realized that it was not really working with that particular serum. Now, is this funding going to the rural areas when it comes to the education, also ensuring that our primary education is at par with global best practices? I would say the answer. Even with the basic, universal basic education we have in the country, if you go down to primary schools and secondary schools in many rural areas today, there are no physics teachers, there are no chemistry teachers, there are no biology, there are no mathematics. As a matter of fact, I have people that did a research innovation in one secondary school in Lagos. The chemistry lab was absolutely sham. There was, in fact, it was just dust everywhere. And that is the place we were saying we were trying to train our populace, the young mind, who will take over from in the future. That is one. Two, if we really want to use these resources from the US, from Canada, and the United States, from the UK as well, why not ask these people to help build industrial complex where on our own we can produce this same medical, okay? Rather than handing over this money to people and let them pocketing those money in their pocket, let's use these facilities in our country. Let Nigerians work in those facilities. Let us produce our own vaccine. As a matter of fact, so we don't even produce vaccine in Nigeria. Okay, we don't produce vaccines. And you say we have universities in the country. When COVID-19 broke out, Oxford AstraZeneca took the lead to produce a best vaccine that was used in the UK. So Oxford AstraZeneca was okay. That's the impact of education. That is the power of education when it comes to the functionality of that particular in developing the citizenry and the country. But in Nigeria, how many of our tertiary institutions, for instance, university, have those capability to do those sort of innovation to ensure that it is for the betterment of our own people? So for me, I think cutting the funding should tell you know what, a time coming where every single country is going to say, you know what, we're going to look after our people first before we fight. And we saw that clearly with COVID-19. It was well written all over the air, where UK vaccinated all the citizens first. US did the same thing. Canada did the same thing. As a matter of fact, India did the same thing as well before they released the COVID shield to Africans. So that is where I come in, and I don't think we've benefited from this when it comes to the level of common man. There's no benefit to the common man. Rather, it's at the level of the elites who are taking the money into their pockets. That's what it's all about. We have the resources that is freeze. We have the human capital. We have the properties, but we do not have the enabling environment, and that's where the government comes in to create that enabling environment to allow people to thrive with their talents. See, today we don't have 24-hour power supply in the country in the 21st century. Even COVID-19 vaccines, we could not store them because we lack storage capacity. As at the time those vaccines got down to Nigeria, and many expired.
Okay, Doctor, thank you so much for your contribution. I would like to bring DJ Bongo Lee. Bongo, where are you? Thank you so much, Doctor. Bongo Lee, where are you? Another very intelligent young man, and I want to bring the conversation back to the grassroots now. We have Femi Aderogba, a very intelligent political analyst. I know his PhD is in view. Hey, don't go close camera. Femi, no, once you close camera. PhD in view.
I'm not closing.
What's your doctorate thesis? I mean, what's your doctorate on? In what discipline?
Transport intelligence. Intelligent transport.
Intelligent transport. Okay. Dr. John Torolon Zumorito Mabinu, because the argument is between Wale and Bongo Lee, let me bring Bongo Lee. And also because Bongo Lee is Femi Aderogba's best friend. At a point, I almost thought they were dating because they have always been very close.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
But Femi doesn't agree with Bongo Lee.
I thought it was a Tyler Perry situation in the house. Bongo Lee.
Why would I even say me and Bongo Lee we are dating? That's J.Y.
I thought you people liked yourself so much. Bongo Lee, where is your face? We can't see you. Modaro, Bongo Lee, on the day when we need you the most. You don't have data.
He lives in America,
It's not everybody in America that has data.
It's his political ideology that is kicking him out.
He's a broke guy. Bongo Lee is a broke guy.
He's always supporting them, you know, and at the point I feel like does Bongo Lee even consider, you know, the day-to-day feeling of Nigerians? All the statistics you give are being doctored and put all out there for people
Bongo Lee
canvas arguments, you know, in their favor.
Network does not want our destiny to be great.
Yeah, well, I think I understand what the argument is.
Femi, did you go to a private school or a public school?
No, I went to a public university.
Secondary school, primary school?
Private.
Okay.
Private public.
Private public, that is private primary school, public secondary school.
Private primary, private secondary, then the senior public.
Public university, okay. All right.
The network is disturbing me.
I don't know what's wrong with it. And my own network seems to be okay.
They will come back. Bongo Lee can exit and, you know, react, or I mean, what do we do now? I just need him to understand that Bongo Lee, okay, well, while we're doing this, you shouldn't. Your argument. I mean, like I said, When you
Yeah,
play
then-
therefore.
Yeah. Memphis, can
Yeah,
you
we
hear
can
me now?
hear you.
Yes, I can hear you.
This is not Bongoli, this is Femi.
Femi, I can hear. I don't know what's wrong with Bongoli. Now,
Okay,
I don't know if you heard of SUBEB. That is State University Basic Educational
Yeah.
Board. Did you at any
SUBEB.
point benefit from it?
Yeah, well, that must be at the senior secondary school level, SS3 or SS2.
Okay.
There were some super projects at the state level that time, and one of it is really the textbook.
Oh, praise God.
Bongoli is finally here.
And the second is
my camera.
the laboratory. Is actually the laboratory, and I think as an
Bongoli.
2006.
It's my camera. This is me.
Okay.
My camera is active.
Bongoli, you suppose don't buy phone now. As chairman, where you be?
It's the screen, sir. It's the screen. Like it's supposed to turn the other way. So I'm happy, no.
Bongoli, please.
Because
Let me go.
I was waiting for you to answer both my lawyer brother here and Femi Aderogba. But please, let's keep the conversation. Let's not turn this to an APC PDP rally.
No. APC what? That is free. That Femi, please, can you do me a favor? Femi, please, can you exit and join again so that I can switch my camera real quick, please?
How does that affect you? Let me ask them first.
Because if you leave, then my screen will come down so I can switch the camera real quickly, please.
Live, not good live.
Please,
We can carry on, I mean, without, your face.
No.
What matters is hearing you.
No. The last time my face didn't show, so I want to respect Daddy Freeze for that. I'm sorry. Please, my guys. Thank you. All right. Come on now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Fantastic.
Yeah, Femi can come back now.
Femi
All
can
right.
join now. Real quick. What's the time now? What's time?
4:29.
All right, I brought Femi back now.
4:29. I have maybe 10 minutes.
All right, we're rounding off in about 20 minutes anyway, so go ahead.
Okay, Femi, please go ahead. Sorry, my brother.
No. That phrase called you. You talk to
Okay,
them.
all right. So, good evening, everyone. Thank you all very much. See, I think that a lot of people get a misconception that because Bongoli is a card-carrying member of the APC, is active in his community, grassroots-wise in the APC, anything Bongoli says is trying to protect APC or whatever. No. So today, because since Mr. Wale is saying, oh, Bongoli says this, says that, we know it. You guys may not know it. Now, Bongoli is going to explain it in very, very basic terms. So we all understand. Very, very basic terms. So now, we all support Premier League clubs, right? Some of us support Manchester United, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, Newcastle, Man City, whatever. Barcelona, Real Madrid. As a Manchester United fan, when Manchester United was winning trophies, did you want Arsenal to win any trophy? Did you want Chelsea to win any trophy? Did you want Bayern Munich to win the Champions League? You always want to win all the time. Think about it, the Western world versus Africa. Think about it that way. The Western world versus Africa. For every job that you are saying you should have in Nigeria or in Africa, people are losing jobs in Europe, in the West, and in China, in Asia, in Vietnam, and all of these places. God has given me the gift, thanks to God, that I see the full picture. So when I speak, I'm speaking and I'm looking at everything. When people are talking about we should set up this, set up that, set up manufacturing, set up all this, what's it called, vaccination, whatever, manufacturing sites and everything. Do you know that by doing that, you have taken food from the other people in Europe and in West Africa and everything? Do you think they will agree? Now to the conversation on population, that because I always say something, no matter what we do in Nigeria, if we don't fix our population, we are not going anywhere as a nation. We'll just be deceiving ourselves. Because our revenue has plateaued. when it comes to oil, crude oil, OPEC has given us a limit, which is 1.5 million barrels per day. So even with the Israel and Iran situation going on, Brent crude only went up to like $77, $78. The last time I checked, which was yesterday. I haven't updated myself today on the pricing. And if you do all the math, we cannot get up to $10 billion in Nigeria from the sale of crude oil with our royalties and with our joint ventures. And then non-oil revenue, that one is maybe like 6 or 7 billion because of what President Tinubu is doing. Because President Buhari was the first that went that route, and President Tinubu is building on it. So our total revenue cannot be up to $20 billion for 200 million people. Now, lastly, on the population conversation, because I want to bring it home so people understand what Bongoli is saying very well. Imagine a father that has a wife and 3 children, and he was earning 100,000 naira in 1960. And then the whole running of the home was even more than 100,000. But because he had a home, he could go to the bank to borrow money. Borrow maybe 10,000 naira. And all the children were going to private schools, like what that was asking Femi, private school, but they were going to private schools, going on trips and everything. They were spending the money, they're like Yulufala. 10 years later, daddy did not go and get new job. Daddy is still earning 100,000 naira. Now, mommy has given birth to a 4th child. 20 years later, mommy has given birth to 2 or 3 other children. So the money that's supposed to go around, even though they are wastefully spending it, the money that they are supposed to manage, they are spending it on 10, 15, 20 children instead of 3 children. All of these countries that we call and that we praise today, their population is managed. You see people here, look at Nigeria, for example. Our budget is $36.6 billion for 220 million people. What would that do? We are talking about insecurity today. Do you know our police deficit is 750,000 people? I was doing the analysis the other day. We need at least 750,000 police personnel. What about the army?
Bongo, can we come back home? Can we focus on this specifically?
Okay, on this particular subject is a two-edged sword. Now, in the last 10 to 15 years, USAID, for example, has spent about $10 billion in Nigeria alone. And that is on healthcare, that is on education, and that is on electricity, because they are doing the rural electrification project, the REA project. And also they are providing water, they are providing food for the people. So they are infrastructure. I'm trying to explain, because now they say Bongoli always throw numbers. So I'm trying to explain the way people will understand. Okay. Now, they are doing all of those, at least then in agriculture also. They are also giving fertilizers and all of these things in agriculture and the lives and everything. Now you take that shock out of the system, because many of us don't really care for rural Nigeria. We only look at urban Nigeria. Our people are really suffering in the rural Nigeria. And that is where those aids go into. Now, this is what this thing does to the country. It helps and it affects the country negatively. Do you know why it affects the country negatively? Because it's a form of subsidy. So the agricultural sector that's supposed to grow in Nigeria will not grow because we are getting it cheaper. The healthcare that we are supposed to improve upon will not improve upon it because it's cheaper. Because somebody is going to give you vaccine. Somebody is going to give you a doctor, a nurse. Yeah. When we are supposed to develop that. In education also, coincidentally, I watched the documentary on poverty line and these aids and everything. I watched it yesterday, so my brain is still a little bit fresh on it. Then you talk about agriculture, fertilizers, for example. Dangote is doing fertilizers, he produces fertilizers. But fertilizers are coming in cheaper. What do you think will happen? That is how they keep our manufacturing in check, because they give us cheaper goods. It's a form of subsidy. Now, what they are doing is, in their own farm in America, they are having issues because those aids that you are seeing, the US government pays for it and pays the farmers to produce it. The farmers cannot sell it in America, like soybeans and the likes and all of these foods and all of these grains and all, and they have to ship it to America and to impoverished nations.
So that's how they keep their own farmers in business. And then we, on the other hand, we pay the price and we suffer for it. So if you take that shock out, Nigeria is, don't let anybody deceive you, Nigeria is one of the poorest nations in the world. Even DR Congo, that is super poor, they budget more for their people than Nigeria. Nigeria budgets about $150 per person in a year. South Africa is doing $2,300 US dollars per person. So when Bongoli comes and talks about that Nigeria is a poor nation, I am not excluding the fact that we are very wasteful. We are very poor and we are very wasteful as a people. And it's not about government, it's every one of us. Because when we talk about government, we are trying to absorb accountability on our own part. So imagine taking that shock away. And that is the point I'm trying to make here. I am not defending no government. It's been going on since the 60s. Nigeria has been subsidizing crude oil, dollar. People come out and say a dollar was $1 to $1. We were subsidizing it because of this current Israel and the Israel-Arab war, whatever it is that went on in the 70s, and the other one that happened in the 80s, the Gulf War that happened in the 80s. I'm sorry, I'm a scholar of history, I'm a scholar of geography, I see the full picture. And lastly, trade. We need to do a better job in trade. That is bilateral trade agreements. Our current DG of trade is Dr. Okonjo-Iweala. She's a Nigerian. How can she help us in this? Because people will say, Nigeria, produce this. Why can't you produce this? Why can't you produce that? Somebody is satisfying that demand somewhere. Somebody is satisfying that demand. And as such, if you want Nigeria to produce this, who will Nigeria sell to make money? Who will Nigeria sell to? So that is why when I talk about these things, I see the full picture. So when I talk, they'll be like, why is Bongoli saying this? Why is Bongoli saying that? No. You need to understand the problems. We have a revenue problem in Nigeria. Everybody's corrupt. Almost 99% of Nigerians are corrupt. So I don't talk about corruption when I'm having my conversation. Because every one of us here, most of us here are corrupt. Corruption is only by stealing money. So I yield the floor. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bongoli, and thank you for sticking to the ambit of the conversation. If there ever was a thing like that, I do appreciate it. Femi, in your response, please stay within the confines of the conversation. Please do not go far. Do not pass go, and do not collect £200, as Monopoly will say. Over to you, Femi.
As you know, I'm not a Bongoli or any other individual. You will give 10 minutes and their 10 minutes will be 30 minutes. I'm very glad that Bongoli has been learning time management these days. Well, it's not easy to really defend a BC. Now he found reason to be managing his time, and that's really a good one. But I'm going to start based on what really triggered Bongoli to be here, which was somebody who is in an argument on data. Honestly, we need to understand that political discussion is a science. It is not really art. And if you communicate in international relation matter or political matter, if you don't have data, I think you may be unserious. I've watched so many TV programs who always even go there. I have not ever seen a good speaker when it comes to public affairs that will not use data. So I want to bail this nonsensical APC guy. I want to bail him out a little bit. Now, to the conversation. The humanitarian service of America, should it actually have been removed, or should there be a cut or not? Well, the truth of the matter is there are good side of it and there are bad side of it. But the first thing we must understand is that America is in charge of world power. And that means that when they are in charge of world power, they have three major power in their hand. They have the hard power, they have the soft power, and they have the smart power. The hard power is the use of military and co whatsoever. Then the soft power is really the humanitarian service. Why we keep having terrorism all around the world is simply because of the fact that some people who ought to be educated were not educated. It's because some people who also have to have access to economic strength, they lack the strength and they become poorer, and yet they brainwash into getting into all the act we're talking about. So because of that, America being an influencer in the whole world, one of the way they can influence other people is to offer humanitarian service. Because when they offer humanitarian, just like religion, it was when they brought religion to us, they brought education with it. And that's why some of us, we had education, or majority of us had education. So it is nearly impossible for us to talk without talking about humanitarian service. And United States of America needs to do that. Now, this is the argument. I heard the other speaker when he was saying that, United States of America, they have to divert money to spend a lot. But they didn't know, and that is where I now respect Bongoli. They didn't know that we should also deal with data here. All what American is really doing money, humanitarian service, is just 1% of their budget. 1%, not 10, not 20, not 50. It's just 1. Now,
I'm sorry, 10 seconds. Do you know that the aid is also a means for the American government to control inflation? Because they print money. So that's why I brought my voice low, because I just interjected a little bit. I'm sorry. You know, when we talk at night, we'll be able to break these things down in our usual whatever. Okay. People don't know this. People don't know this as a way of controlling inflation on their own end. People don't know. Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, wow. But they are controlling inflation on their own end and creating inflation on our own end.
Because all that money has to go somewhere. All that money has to go somewhere.
It's a control. So the point there is that that's why I said, when we are talking about scientific matter, it really deals with research. It is not about I am in a country, it's about how deep you are with the data. So if 1% is there, the only argument in America is funding up to 46% among all the countries that are contributing to the humanitarian service. It is approximately 46%. Then the argument it should be America only that will be taking that large proportion. In all honesty, America is supposed to be taking like 20%. What is United Kingdom doing? What is Canada? We know that Canada is smaller. But the other two countries that would have taken such a share is Russia and China. And China is Iraq.
Jiga said USAID is a scam. I love to hear that opinion. Jigito, I want to hear that opinion. Continue what you were saying.
Now, do we all understand Russia or China would have really been another biggest contributor? Because of the rivalry between them, they can never do it. Now, many people don't understand that the moment America withdraws such, China will start romancing all the country America has withdraw whatsoever. Then they will now...
Femi, I'm sorry again. Do you know that China today, I think it was earlier this week, they said that any export from Africa going to China is zero duty. Any export, because remember, Africa, the AGOA alliance, that is between America and African countries, they said that when you are exporting your goods, you have little to no tariffs on your goods. So now America Trump is definitely ending the AGOA agreement. And that is going to make us suffer a lot in Africa because our exportation going to America and all of that. So China is now saying, I'm not collecting any export duty from any goods you are exporting from Africa. When we have this, I'm sorry, Femi, because I have to go now. When we have these conversations, we are not just coming from a place of we are trying to defend somebody or no. If you notice, this has nothing to do with political affiliation. This is about understanding geopolitics. So when you have these conversations, there's a lot of geopolitics involved. Nkechi, I'm sorry. I have to go now. But I'll be in the comment section. Yeah, thank you. Femi,
all right. God bless you, DJ Bongoli. Jiga, if you are available, I'd like to end with your contribution over USAID. Femi, back to you. What are your thoughts?
The second thing there is that when it comes to public health, we should understand that public health is interconnected and on a complexity theory. An infection somewhere can also get to other countries, even when you think the distance is there. Because the point there is that Mr. A living in America may come in contact with Mrs. B living in Nigeria and get infected. If Mrs. B and Mr. A that is actually in America come in contact with Mrs. B in Nigeria and go back to America, can keep distributing such a thing. So that they are doing the cut, yes, is good financially, is good when it comes to numbers. But when we're talking about interrelationship between some things, or the complexity of some decision, health is one of the complex words we can ever imagine. So, and if you understand transport theory, like a traffic theory, you understand that there are nodes and there are links. The node the way the links connect to the node is really in a complex manner. So, and this we can also be used to explain health, network theory. So we need to understand that if America is withdrawing this, they are also technically also planning for their own health failure in the future. It operates on the complex theory, on the network theory, and it's going to have its impact. So now, the next question is, what should we learn from it as a country? That should now be the next point, which I will now try to round up so that the freeze can go. Now, we cannot always depend on foreign aids. Like the freeze was asking me the question of the school I went to. Yes, at my SS classes, I went to a public school because my father insisted on me going to public school to learn from the society. Now, one thing I discovered was that it was easier for my own parents to really afford getting me textbooks. But I realized that I goes to public school, majority of the people are attending it, their parents could not afford getting them a textbook. Just a textbook. That time.
Wow.
Now, under SUPEP, what happened was that the government has to ensure that every school every SS student have a mathematics textbook and an English textbook. Just those two.
And who funded this scheme?
It was this government now. The government under SUPEP. It was the SUPEP scheme. So it's based on that particular stuff. Do we know how many students that they really assisted and ensure that they were able to get educated and mathematics and also understand English to a greater level? So when we are talking about all this kind of aid, we need to understand that locally it has its impact. And when we are talking about the local impact is the one that now transcends to the global level. So therefore, it is very important that we need really factoring the local power and the local influence. Number two, I have seen some villages that I was thinking that every place in Nigeria, they were on a tar road level. The place they took us to go and conduct election, it was a remote area. Before you can see quality water, it will take you miracle and God's grace. Now, if there is a kind of local influence there under the United Nations and they give them under foreign aid and they give them, we wouldn't call that wastages. So there are and they are having their impact. And there are also places whereby it is just an opportunity for our leaders to siphon money. And I think our leader, they will also learn from Trump action. What Trump is doing is also important so that our leaders can learn and they can take appropriate action. We cannot always depend on foreign aid, one. Number two, I think another thing we should also understand, our government needs to understand, is that what is meant for the public should be used for
the public.
Like this APC government now, in all honesty, I'm not trying to be political. There are a lot of disparity or actions, inaction is concerned. Look at what happened in Benue recently. Yes, I don't want to politicize it. There could be a better thing the federal government could have done. There could have been better things the state government could also have done. But unfortunately, under the name that they are giving us cheap services, they risk the life of up to 200 people in that community. So foreign aid, but over-reliance on it make us to be lazy. And when we are lazy, we expose our citizens to unforeseen circumstances and unnecessary depression and unnecessary stress that we should not even in the first answer. And let me just use the floor so that other people can have their contribution. I will go in the next 4, 3, 5.
Thank you. Greetings. Well done, Jiga. Let me quickly, so that I won't forget the points made. In the analysis Bongoli gave about your teams, I don't think those are not even, they are not, I mean, with due respect, are not very relevant. Now, you did mention something towards the end of your conversation, talking about China is romancing countries that America is withdrawing from, that exportation is going to be at 0%, Nigeria exporting in commercial quantity that contributes to our GDP. That question is open. You can type it or somebody can say it here. I don't know anything. Now, talking about crude, we're talking about what the current barrel price is. Bro, even the Nigerian government, they consistently made the president the minister of petroleum for at least the past 20-something years. He does not know how much crude is being lifted in that country daily. And I can give you my own facts, and they are genuine. Now, when I was talking about data, I'm not saying don't rely on data. I was talking about finesses. There are bogus data. You can come mention things. If we're going to rely on your data, we should be able to fact check you, or you should just be able to give us references straight to go to them. Now, talking about living in a country. Living in a country does not guarantee the knowledge of the country. But if you have lived in a country at least for a long time and worked in public sector, you should at least be equipped with certain facts and figures. Now, because a country says, I am giving you this, and now it's about me, I'm not giving you anymore, there's no any other side effect to it. The effect is that you have refused to grow yourself and want to be rich, now you won't get it no more, and you have to bear the consequences or face it. Indeed, rural, what do you call it, medical supplies will be cut. Yes, they won't get it, but that's not the job of America or any aid donor. It's the job of the current day government or whoever has been in charge of it to ensure that these things are in place. If we have benefited from it at least for the past 70 years, and we have not been able to at least do something to keep our own pace and won't need it anymore. Do you even know that if giving is part of how these countries are getting into our nations to steal our resources? Do you know this? Do you know it? One of the foremost job of the intelligence agency, which I don't want to mention their full name, is by coming under the guise of coming to provide nations with aid, especially West African and East African countries, where they know they can find very important resources, and they go there, and now they are sniffing around. They do whatever they do at the cover of night, then they move under the guise of being aid, what do you call them, transporter or aid agencies. So all these things you people are talking about, I'm still finding it hard to understand why we cannot look at it, and we're going to pick a theory in a different, something that is completely not applicable, and say, oh yeah, because Mr. A came from America, had a whatever kind of contact with Miss B in Nigeria that is sick, then you will bring it, then he's taking it back to America, then infect the whole population. It doesn't work like that, sir. Do you know that before we travel, we do get vaccines? Do you know when we're coming back, they kind of, put it into silent question, especially during the pandemic? And of course, in here, you are scheduled for at least medical checkups every 6 months. So we're not going to look at our scenario where we live or where we are from and use it to create some kind of, thing that will make it look like, okay, Nigeria would not matter to America. It's a country, it's my country. But if I've said I'm not giving you this thing going forward, it shouldn't have to be a problem. It's your fault that you chose not to develop yourself. It's not America's fault to say. Now, talking about it's a way of, de-escalating inflation. I mean, come on, guys. What is actually inflation? What is actually inflation, sir? I mean, you wanna mop up the percentage of money in the American system, then giving aids of less than 10% of the total American GDP is now what is gonna make you be able to. I mean, I'm just not.
Let me leave it at that point. Bros, Battlefield, I greet you.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. I saw the interview with Osimhen. Nice one. Anyways, yeah, quick one. I was already in bed and I just tuned in. And, like, the USAID is a scam, is what I said, and I wrote it in caps. And why did I write it in caps? Because it's a fact. Dodge, Elon Musk, set up Dodge with Donald Trump, Department of Government Efficiency, right? And the first body they went for was USAID. These are all facts. You can fact check me. And they realized that it was one big fraud. One big fraud. This one, like, they publish papers, everything, it's online. You can go and read about it. And it is not just Dodge. It is not just the fact that Elon Musk came up with these facts now. If you even look back to history of the countries, USAID claims to help about 100 countries, right? If you go back to the history of the countries that they all help, where is the help? Where is the help? If you go to this country like Congo's and they have all these NGOs, okay, let me start. Somebody say, how did I say this scam? You see, all the NGOs, most of the NGOs under the USAID owned by people who control the USAID. They don't even exist. It's just a way for them to siphon money. Forget what Elon said, though. Let us come to we that believe in Africa. Have you seen all these American NGOs and the way they treat our people when they open NGOs, when they come and help Nigerians? And if you live in Nigeria, you've lived in Nigeria most of your life. Have you seen anyone that has benefited enormously from all these aids that they claim to come and give us and help us with? We all grew up in Nigeria.
Jiga, they've been giving it, at least that I know, for more than 70 years. Primary health care centers in places like Okeho, in places like Ragbiji, in places like Modakeke, they are still empty with no actual proper bed, no single ventilator, no common toilet.
The NGOs are just there to receive the money from their government. It's their own people. It's their own people. They do nothing for the people. The so-called. And let me even talk. It's the thorough work. Need these people's aids. What do people need their aid for? Yeah, I said something earlier. I said any aid that any Western country is giving to Nigeria is just like the puppeteer trying to control his puppets, feed his puppets. Because at the end of the day, the people enjoying the aids are not even the poor people in rural areas. It is their own elites, the people, their own gatekeepers. It's their own gatekeepers. Somebody, you can come and tell me, they say they've helped Nigeria with $10 billion in how many years, as Bongoli said earlier. Where did it go to? The road that they want to construct is $18 billion. So, we know it's a scam on its own. It's $10 billion in the poetry in the country. But at the end of the day, my point is this, if the West say they want to remove their aid, they want to cut their aid, shoot. They're not even helping anybody in the first place. The only people that they are giving money to is their elites. They are people who they use, they are gatekeepers in Africa. There are people. Yeah.
Jiga.
Gatekeepers. Yeah.
The question is, if you say USAID has issues, how many people has Dodge arrested, for instance?
Well, listen here. For me, no, I don't know how I am a department in the documents. And they started back with that analysis that people like us already knew. before now. So if they've not made the arrest, I can't be bothered if they've not made any arrest. I'm just saying I'm speaking for my own people. We don't need these aids. The aids is the
But the aids have never benefited anybody. Talking about earlier, right? This comes to ensure that there are books for students. The classrooms are in at least order for them to be able to learn.
Yeah, the only aid that I receive from any foreign government was the Dubai